Wrestling's changed so much. It's just
Yeah.
completely different now
Hmm.
than what it used to be. Um, I think it's for the better, but sometimes I feel they they do stuff too differently these days.
Uh, with Daniel Bryan having his big year, big WrestleMania last year, beating Triple H in the first match, and then going on to beat Orton and Rollins in the big triple threat. Orton and Batista, sorry, I just made a wee mistake there. But yeah, that was a good match. That last one last year too.
It was very good. It had me on the edge of my seat when I was watching it.
Yeah,
It
thought
was very good.
Batista's walkout was really good later on, a few months later as well, where he said Triple H said he'd come back to Hollywood, and he just left. Almost kind of dropped the mic and says, "I quit."
Yeah, I think there was something personal
Mm.
on that as well.
I don't think that was scripted. That part, I think a lot of this these days, like the some of the punk stuff and that, a lot of it just isn't scripted. I think it
It,
comes out, you know.
it could have been a shoot,
Yeah.
um, but the word is that Batista was promised so much on his return to the
Mm.
WWE. Personally, I don't think they needed him to return. I don't
No.
think he was needed, but he was promised a lot of things, and he he wasn't used properly. That's what the word is, and then he was he was quitting the company again.
Yeah, I get you. Um, Royal Rumble wise, the big triple threat with Rollins and Lesnar and Cena.
That was brilliant.
That was a great match, wasn't it?
It was.
Me and Kyle here were on social media chatting to each other during that match. We were like blown away by it, you know.
It was. That was unreal, wasn't it?
Yeah. Uh, thoughts on thoughts on the Rumble in general? Did you enjoy the pay per view or enjoy it on the network?
I enjoyed the triple threat match,
Yeah.
and I always enjoy the Royal Rumble match.
Mm,
It's always good, and
yeah.
there was a few special entries.
That's right. It was great to see Bubba Ray Dudley.
Bubba Ray, of course,
Uh,
Diamond Dallas Page.
Diamond Dallas Page was there, who's actually been in hospital there. I heard he was in hospital for a couple of days.
Really?
Yeah, he has a rare stomach or reflux disease or reflux disorder or something happening, and I think he's safe enough, but it's just a strange kind of breathing thing going on, you know.
Well, wish him all the best in that.
Exactly, yeah. As well as that, we seen the Boogeyman,
The Boogeyman also made an appearance. Yeah.
and of course at the end, The Rock came out as well.
Uh, yeah. Well, again, I don't think he was needed to be
No,
there.
I think he was kind of it was kind of like stealing the spotlight from Roman Reigns a wee bit, wasn't it?
Personally, I think they knew they were going to get a backlash from the fans when they had Roman Reigns as the winner, and they
Yeah,
were
yeah,
using The Rock. They try and put him over
yeah.
with the fans.
Doesn't work on wrestling fans though, you know.
In
It would
my
work on
eyes,
the Hollywood fans, but it wouldn't work on the
in,
wrestling fans too much.
in my eyes, it came off as a bit desperate.
Ah, yeah, yeah. Good point. I thought that too, and they done an interview, an exclusive for the WWE Network afterwards, and I think The Rock totally stole the interview. You know.
You could tell when you were watching it live. You could tell by The Rock's expression on his face
Yeah.
that he couldn't believe the way the fans were reacting to Roman
Ah,
Reigns.
and I know he's a great positive kind of a role model, The Rock. And he's his stuff on the internet, social media, and that is really admirable. The stuff he puts up and all, but at the same time, you wonder how genuine he is sometimes. That's all the other side of it. But then you do with all big Hollywood stars and that, like.
Yeah, there's a few guys that sort of think that they're in it for themselves.
Yeah, yeah. And they say that about Hogan too. He's a real hot shotter and all. And it's all about him, and he has to be the main attraction all the time. And
He's a hot dogger.
yeah, hot dogger. Yeah, that's what they call it as well. Uh, they really do reckon that Hogan in his glory days, even now, because he's still looking for matches, I suppose. So he's still looking for the limelight.
Yeah, when his career when it was coming to an end, and he was late into his career, he was
Mm,
still trying to grab the spotlight, and he was refusing
that's right.
to
Yeah.
put other guys over. An example of that is at SummerSlam 2005, and
Shawn
his
Michaels.
match against Shawn Michaels. Apparently, he
And
actually had words with Vince that he refused to put Michaels over.
right. But Michaels really did milk it. You know, he was really kind of sarcastic with everything then, because some of the stuff Hogan done in the ring, Michaels over exaggerated as, it
Yeah,
was a real kind of a
I think there was a
bad
clash.
feeling thing there,
I think there was a clash of egos there as well because
big time.
Shawn Michaels is famous for not wanting to put people over as
Yeah,
well. So
and both of them supposedly have turned to God now and that kind of a thing, and they've went all holy about things. But
well,
you'll never lose that kind of a way of thinking about yourself and that.
if you go back a few years, uh, Hulk Hogan had a bit of a video that went around,
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
a,
The sex tape.
a sex tape, yeah. So I'm not sure if his Christianity's on.
Ah, well, I'd like to think, I'm a big Hogan mark myself, so I'd like to think it is, but
But since then, a lot can happen. So
exactly. Um, right. Well, we're going to talk about favorite moments now in wrestling history. Have you any favorite like moments that stick out if you think of wrestling? What would you look at as the best moments? We'll narrow it down a bit. How about we say favorite WrestleMania moments?
well, the one that always sticks out is I have a few, but the one that always sticks out was the main event at WrestleMania 15 in 1999,
Ah, yeah, yeah.
Stone Cold versus The Rock. I think that that was probably my favorite WrestleMania match.
Aye, well, we'll be up there in mine too, top five probably. Yeah, great. Like everybody loved that, didn't they?
Yeah, it was a good match. It was very memorable.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, even the build up to it, the months leading up to that match was unbelievable. You had the Rock and McMahon double crossing Foley at Survivor Series for
Yeah,
the tournament for the title and Deadly Game, and then you had them going on loads of matches. Even there was an empty arena match half time during the Super Bowl.
that's right.
It was great, like, uh, and then you had the whole thing with the Rock and Austin building up to WrestleMania, and did you see the McMahon Michaels wee confrontation before the match? It was good
That's
stuff.
right. Yeah,
That was great TV, like.
yeah. And of course, there was the year previous at WrestleMania 14 in 1998. You had Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels with Mike Tyson as the special enforcer.
That's right, yeah.
That 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 stands out as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
That was a true WrestleMania moment
Mm.
when Stone Cold won that match.
Another big WrestleMania moment is the previous year again, WrestleMania 13, where there was a double main event, but the one that really sticks out is Austin versus Bret Hart,
Bret Hart,
and
yeah,
it was Austin bleeding. I know it probably was all fake blood or whatever, but what they actually do is they cut their heads or whatever with the wee blade. They
yeah,
have a blade in their wristbands or whatever. But yeah, that was a great moment with Hart putting on the sharpshooter and didn't Austin passed out and stuff.
yeah.
And then of course Undertaker at that particular WrestleMania 13, Undertaker won the title, and the dark days began.
But
Beating Sid.
there was another WrestleMania that I really enjoyed because it had things in it that were different,
Mm.
and that was WrestleMania 24 in 2008.
Yeah, yeah,
You had Big Show against Floyd Mayweather,
that's right. Yeah, yeah.
wrestler versus boxer,
Mhm.
and this that one was built up for a long time, and they were embroiled in a big feud. And I remember being looking forward to that match so much. Of course, I was on the Big Show side because he's the wrestler,
Hi.
and it,
It was a funny kind of a build up. Mayweather, of
yeah,
course, had his entourage with him all the time,
that's
building up
right.
to it, and you know, he, the Big Show was the Big Show, and You know, he had that knockout punch was the whole thing, his gimmick, and Mayweather was just the way Mayweather goes on and full of himself and stuff, and it
Yeah,
was funny, like it was a good Money Mayweather.
but I thought that was different,
Yeah,
and it was I really enjoyed it. And of course, on the same WrestleMania, the opening match was a Belfast Brawl.
yeah,
You and me can relate to that because
being Irish, yeah.
you've been Irish, of course, and it was
Finlay and
JBL,
that's right.
and that was pretty hardcore.
That was excellent. That was probably one of the greatest openings to wrestling. If you
Yeah,
talk about first matches, because first matches are very pivotal as far as getting your attention
yeah.
at WrestleMania, especially. And I think JBL Finlay was unbelievable. And by the way, it's uncensored on this podcast, so it's fucking unreal. So yeah. No, but otherwise for opening matches, what comes out as far like I remember my first WrestleMania that I actually stayed up all night to watch. As a a young kid. I remember I was only what was it, 8 or 9, and I was actually 7, and it was WrestleMania 9 in '93. I stayed up to watch WrestleMania 9, and it was a great WrestleMania. And it was in the Caesar's Palace, and I remember staying up to watch Hogan, of course, won the title for the 5th time, and controversially so, and of course the
That was the Yokozuna
yeah,
match. Yeah,
and stole the spotlight from Hart. But I remember the first match being Shawn Michaels against Tatanka, and I remember Michaels being pretty good in that one, and that was that was an awesome first match. As far as sitting up to watch the wrestling, and over here in Ireland and the UK and all, it's fairly it's awkward enough because you have to stay up to 1 or 2 before it starts, and then you could be up to 5 watching the main events and stuff.
but it's always worth it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But as far as sitting up to watch them when you were younger, which was the first WrestleMania that you actually sat up and watched, or first pay per view even?
First pay per view would have been SummerSlam '99.
Right.
That was the first one that I was allowed to stay up and watch because I was
Yeah.
very young at the time. And pay-per-views before that I watched, I always used to
Tape them.
record them,
Yeah.
on the VCR.
Aye.
But SummerSlam
SummerSlam was
'99 was the first.
that's one of the big four. That's just
Yeah.
as exciting as WrestleMania in some ways.
But the first WrestleMania would have been WrestleMania 2000 or WrestleMania 16.
Right. Aye. I think 2000 was in my opinion, WrestleMania 2000 was disappointing. There was no normal singles matches at all. Like it was all tag team or else
It was overdone a
fatal
bit.
4-way, triple threat kind of thing. It was an exciting enough WrestleMania if you were into that era.
Yeah.
I wasn't some. It was kind of coming out of the Attitude Era at that stage. It wasn't as much, you know, Austin was gone for a while and stuff like that, and it just wasn't the same kind of atmosphere in my opinion. But you know, still a good WrestleMania though. What? We're going to talk about the network a bit more now. The WWE Network. You recently got it. What's your opinions on the different sections of it, Matt?
It's really good.
Uh,
It is really good for any wrestling fan out there, especially older ones. It's a fantastic
yeah,
product. It's great. The only thing I don't like so much is there's a lot of years missing out from the Raw and
yeah.
SmackDown replays, whether or not they're added in the future.
If you're looking to go back and watch 2010's Raws, there is none so far, really, isn't there? 2011, they have everything from 2012 to now, more or less,
Yeah,
and they have everything up until 2003 or so. But well, 10 episodes here and there, like, but the Raws aren't very good so far. The amount of them, like,